Hello and welcome back. It's Monday and we've been out here for 2 weeks now, so what I'm going to do now is answer the questions that were asked at the beginning. I've been terrible, I haven't answered any comments because for the time I haven't been building stuff in the house or fixing stuff. I've been out partying or down at the beach or meeting the locals or going for fabulous lunches. So when I get back to Austria in about a week's time, I will sit down for a day and answer everyone. So I'm sorry I haven't done that yet. I hope there wasn't anything too urgent in there, but answers will come. I've done lots of little tiny bits and bobs over the last few days. We did the terrace, as you've seen, and fixing some roof stuff. But just painting little bits of doors and making things tidier and safer for the winter, trying to keep as much of the bad weather out as possible, and also screwing together things like barbecues that we bought from the DIY store, and setting up the old inflatable jacuzzi that we used to have many years ago on our terrace when we lived somewhere else. So it's another lovely day. We've been very lucky with the weather. Had a couple of drips and drabs, but nothing really to disappoint. A few clouds in the sky today, as you can see, and there is some background noise because they're still doing that roof, which is amazing because that's been a couple of months now. I have a beer which I'm going to drink so I don't run out of words, keep my mouth lubricated, and I've got a few pages of questions that I've printed off, so let's start and go through them. Question that comes up a lot is, how much do you need to run by a geometre or through the local commune? I think again that's going to depend on whereabouts in Italy you are. Right here we are in a zone of seismic activity, which means that it's earthquake prone, so you have to run pretty much everything by them. What we're not doing here, and quite intentionally not doing here, is changing any of the structural walls. We're restoring. We're not trying to knock down and rebuild or to make huge bay windows. So far we've been pretty lucky and not had to run much past them because the house already had water, drainage and electricity. It was just a case of repairing, updating the installations that were there. So far so good. I do know a geometre here who's the wife of a guy from town who I've gotten quite friendly with. So she came around and had a look the other day and she said so far so good, not to worry. No, I'm not going to get any contractors in if I can possibly avoid it. This house was a bit of a love story, I guess. We just sort of said, let's find somewhere. Well, we didn't even really say let's find somewhere. We just kind of started looking around and then found this place, fell in love with it and bought it. But it wasn't a sensible or well thought out decision. It was a bit of a gut thing. So we don't really have enough money to pay a company to do anything, and we're not in a huge rush. So no, I think I'm going to do it myself. There might be a couple of things further down the line that will require heavy machinery. If we need to, a digger or something in, then I'll get a guy in to dig a hole for a day. But basically, no, I don't really want any contractors in at all. This is the one that came up the most often. What is my day job? I work for an online retail company in Innsbruck in Austria. I do, basically most of the management there for that. It's a very small company with 12 people. So how come I can come down here so often? Well, all through the virus, I worked on through and didn't go anywhere. And the last couple of years, well, especially with a new baby, I didn't take much time off because we didn't really go abroad. So I've amassed a lot of holiday time, which I've now sort of also been told to take. So that's why we're here for 3 weeks. Also, it's only a 4.5 hour drive. When I say only, but it is only a 4.5 hour drive. So in Austria, we work from Monday to Thursday all day, and then Friday morning. Well, at least that's the way it is in Innsbruck. So it's quite easy for us to leave on Friday lunchtime and drive back on a Sunday evening and have sort of a proper weekend. Because if we leave at 12, we're here by 5. Plenty of time to unpack the stuff, have dinner, full Saturday, full Sunday, and drive home late on Sunday evening. Then, of course, Austria is also a Catholic country, lots of bank holidays, which we can use up. So there are a great many ways of getting down here, and it really is just a matter of jumping in the car. There's no flights to book, there's nothing complicated. We get on the motorway in Innsbruck and get back off the motorway in Pontremoli. So it is quite quick and easy. Why weren't the kids in the little car? Well, the elder one was in the back of the Golf convertible, and the baby was in the bus because the bus is much safer and much faster, but was also completely full. The bus is 3 years old. It's a company car. It's not mine, and the Golf is 20 years old. So it's a better place for the baby to be, really. When are we going to get married? Well, that's an excellent question. In fact, my delightful girlfriend is sat about 2 meters away from me and listening to me here, talking into my phone. We were going to get married at the beginning of this year because my girlfriend has aged grandparents, well, not aged parents, but aged grandparents. We sort of wanted to do a civil marriage up near where she's from in middle Germany, not far from Düsseldorf, and then have a party with friends and things somewhere else, maybe here or maybe in France, or maybe even in Austria, who knows. But then with the virus, we sort of put everything off, and now with the baby in the house, and so many other things to do. But she has a ring. She said yes. Just a matter of time. No rush there, though. What else have we got? More about the cost, the purchase price of home and budget for renovation. Well, I'm going to do more about that, about the purchase price of houses here in a couple of days, hopefully, with David, with the estate agent. We're going to go and hopefully go and have a look at a couple of properties and show you exactly what you can get for your money to be restored or not to be restored. The renovation costs, well, I'm doing it myself, and we're doing it on a very low budget with no great rush. So it's hard to tell. Materials here are, and that was another great question, is how are the prices here compared to the UK? I've no idea. I haven't lived in the UK for a very long time, but they're very similar to the prices in Germany and Austria, and France, because I did live in France for a while. So not excessive, and certainly not prohibitive. If you go to a big DIY store, there's one called Brico Man up in Palma, which is huge, which I was at a couple of days ago. And there are lots of medium-sized ones around here. And then there's a great builders merchants down in Pontremoli. I picked up some tiles. The tiles are 90 odd cents each, not quite. So, and that's if you're buying 20 of them. If you're buying the whole roof, obviously you'll pay less. It's not a massive cost. Once you get over the initial things, some things are expensive and will always be expensive. Bathtubs are expensive, shower fittings are expensive, taps and sinks and things like that. But there are a lot of things like the kitchen that you can pick up on the equivalents of Craigslist, or we have one in Austria called Willhaben, and you look on there and people give a lot of stuff away because they don't know what to do with it anymore. They're moving house, they're renovating, and a lot of it's still in perfect condition. So that can save a lot of money. But, how much does it cost to restore a house? How long is a piece of string, really? It's difficult, very difficult to say. Right, page 1. The Earth's circumference is 40,000 kilometres, not 30,000 kilometres. I stand corrected. Thank you very much for that. Yes, I've heard about the grants and the financial aids for restoring houses in Italy. And I've spoken to some people about it, and I'm following up on that. If we ever make use of it, or if I find anything particularly interesting about it, I will post it. But it seems that hundreds of other people have already posted lots of information about this, so it's perhaps not that exciting if I just rehash it. How are we doing? How long did we spend looking for the house? Well, we didn't really spend very long looking for the house at all, because we weren't really decided if we were going to buy a house. But if you look at the pictures, and I think that's why most of you follow this anyway, because it's such a beautiful, pretty place, we just fell in love with it, and that was that. It was there were a few shortlisted houses where we said, oh, that could be nice as well, to try and give us some sort of second plan or a base to judge, how's the price. But I'm a great believer in things only having the value that's set by the buyer and seller. So a house is only worth as much as a buyer is willing to pay and a seller is willing to accept. And that's for a lot here. So this isn't an investment. I don't think anyone, the house was on sale for over 10 years and no one bought it. Even if we do it up, I don't think we'll ever sell it. So it's not an investment. It's just something that we fell in love with, and the kids and the grandkids hopefully will keep going. What tools would I highly recommend for a project? Well, the tools I've used the most are a big hammer drill, which cost me, I think, about €70 off Amazon. And the paint spraying station is fabulous, because it means you can really save a lot of time painting, and the paint quality, the quality of the finish is much better than if I'd been on there, at least with a roller and a paintbrush. I know some people are very good at painting, but I'm not. So that's been very good. What I would say about tools is, if you're doing it yourself, you're into a limited amount of actual work. So you're not going to be doing this every day for 10 years like a professional would be. So you don't have to go with the most expensive tools. You can go with pretty basic tools. The exception to that, I would say, is your electric screwdriver drill thing, because that will be your best friend, and it comes in, you'll be using that every single day for everything. So get a reasonably good one of those, and make sure it's got a big battery, lots of amps, because otherwise, even when they come with the little batteries, they won't screw much into much with a little battery. Let's see, I think that's page 1 completely done now. Do I work for myself? No, I don't. As I mentioned, I don't work for myself. I work for a company in Innsbruck. What was in the Fortnum & Mason's hamper? Well, the Fortnum & Mason's hamper is, my brother still lives in London, and every couple of years for Christmas, he sends me a Fortnum & Mason's hamper full of delicious things, and some not so delicious things, but some good champagne and some wine and a Christmas pudding. So that's always fabulous to have. And they're then repurposed. So we have two in our apartment in Innsbruck, or we had two in our apartment in Innsbruck. One has booze in it. That's where we keep gin and vodka and things like that for people to never drink, because I think, like most of you we all have a drinks cabinet and it's never touched. So there's one of those, and that will be coming to Italy next time, because the chances of having an aperitif or a gin tonic are much higher here than they are in Innsbruck. And the second one, the one that we brought down with us, has all of my girlfriend's painting stuff in. So, as somebody asked, is the art original? Yes, it is, and she painted all of it. And the idea is for her to have a little bit more space and time to paint here. So that's why we brought all of that down. Is this a permanent home or a holiday home? This will not be a permanent home. If we were going to move to Italy, we wouldn't be able to move to such a tiny village. There wouldn't be much for me to do here. I could work remotely, but for the kids, for schools, for everything else, it would be quite difficult. So no, this is a holiday home. It's as I said, it's not a huge distance from Innsbruck, so it's perfect for us as such. Do I speak any Italian? Well, I didn't speak any Italian at the beginning of this year. And now I can buy stuff. I can order stuff. I can get drinks. A round of drinks is a giro. That's an important one to know because that's how it's done in the countryside. I'm learning to understand more and more. I have an unfair advantage in that I lived in France for almost 15 years and speak fluent French, and that helps enormously. I also speak German and English, so the more points of reference you have, the easier it becomes. I'm hoping to speak passable Italian within the next year or year and a half. What was the price of the property? This is something that's come up many times. I don't really want to go into it. It was less than 100,000 euros. It was more than 50,000 euros. I'm not going to become more precise than that. Would it be feasible for someone from the UK to undertake such a project? I don't see why not. I would keep an eye on where it's going to be. Obviously, if you're somewhere near one of the cheap airports in London and you find something not too far from Pisa or from Bergamo, which both have Ryanair airports, then it should be quite easy. I would just buy a car and leave it here. Learn some Italian, make the effort to learn some Italian, you'll be fine. Lots of English people have houses here, so yeah, I don't see why not. Building supplies from the UK, well, I don't know how much they cost. I bought initially some supplies over from Austria just to save time, because the first time I came here I was on a very tight schedule, as you saw, putting in that bathroom, trying to plumb in a toilet. So to save time, I just bought everything there, because I know what the words for them are there, and I know exactly where the building merchants was, and I didn't have to waste a day or maybe even a day and a half going to different builders merchants picking up stuff. So I just put it in the van and drove it down. Driving down from the UK is obviously quite a lot further, and I don't think it would make that much difference financially. I think you could probably pick everything up here. There are houses that are more or less habitable. If you buy a place that doesn't have a roof, or if you buy a €1 house, it's very unlikely to be quickly usable. Although when I came out in January, I did have to go to the loo out on the terrace, and it was very cold and not fabulous. It still had a loo, and there was some water and some electricity, and the roof was good. The roof is always, and I come back to this again and again, the roof is important. Yes, we had a little leak. I fixed that little leak. It cost €20 and about a day's work to fix that little leak, and it's fine now. I've changed some gutters, and it's peu à peu, bit by bit, we're getting there. So if you're going to come from far away and you're only going to do it over the weekends, then find something that isn't a complete ruin. There are so many different houses about, so it is difficult to say. And there are houses that will probably look fabulous with just a lick of paint, and a new coloured bathroom, because I must admit that I do not like beige or yellow or green or blue bathrooms. So yeah, just have a look. But the prices here really don't seem to be different to anywhere else in Europe, nowhere else that I've been. Are there foreigners in the village, and how are we welcomed? Well, this village is quite exceptional. There are two villages that are very close to each other. The other one is, let's see if I can get my finger on it. Yes, above that green ball there. That village has quite a few English people who live in it, and the village that we're in, Grenady, has lots of French people who live in it, or who lived in it. That's because of the old immigration history of, I got my piece of paper, old immigration history of Italy. So, pick that back up. So a lot of people left Italy to go and work in the UK or to go and work in France after the war, and came back. So there are close links between here and France. There are proper Italians here. We were extremely well received. Made the effort to go to the restaurant, to go to the bar, to talk to people, to try and integrate as much as is possible. and it's worked very, very well. If you make the effort, everyone is happy. There are lots of empty houses. They're happy for tourists to own these houses. They don't necessarily expect anyone to come and move here, but people who are looking after the houses are looking after the village, and that's really been worked very well. The most difficult thing about the buying process was being patient, waiting for everything to run through and to take its, it was a difficult purchase, this one, but it was difficult to sit there for 6-9 months and think, is this ever really going to happen? How long have I been in Germany, Austria? Well, I met my girlfriend in Austria 6 years ago, and then we moved together to France 4 years ago. Stayed in France for 2.5 years and then moved back to Austria. So that's sort of been on and off. All in total now, I think it's been almost 4 years in Austria. What else have we got here? How did I come up with not useless yet? I'm not sure really. I guess it's all just part of the midlife crisis. Proving that I can still do something useful. Proving it to myself. Obviously, it's not my job. It's not anything I know much about. I'm just trying to think logically, and as I can't stress enough, so many people just reckon everything's so incredibly complicated that they don't try. But if you read the instructions on the boxes of most things, it's not more complicated than making a frozen pizza. So, not useless yet. That's just something that I came up with. Is there an email? Yes, there is an email. It's on the YouTube channel. You can click on it, and I book the domain notuselessyet.com, and my email is on there as well. Don't I need a better microphone? Yes, I probably do need a better microphone. I just don't know much about it, but I'll have a look and see if I can find one on Amazon. How am I planning on doing the heating, cooling for the house? Well, we're not going to do any cooling. There will be no air conditioning. I'm not running pipes through, and I'm not such a great fan of air conditioning air anyway, especially not in a house. It doesn't bother me in the car much, but I don't think we'd have it on in the house. For the heating, in the downstairs kitchen, we're going to put in a wood burner just for that area because it's a nice cozy room, but that'll be more for aesthetics than anything else. We're going to put electric heaters, modern electric heaters, all around the house, try and insulate as much as possible. The reason we're going to do that is because we haven't really got anywhere, and it would be very labour intensive to dig a hole to put in an oil tank, and then we'd have oil burning boiler, so we'd have to build a chimney, we'd have to invest and spend a lot of money and plumb in radiators in every room, and we're not going to be here that much over winter. So the great thing about electrics is we can just set it on 4 or 5 degrees, and then over the phone with my mobile phone I can turn it on. And so I want it to be 20 degrees in 2 bedrooms and a bathroom in the living room, and then leave the house, and 4.5 hours later when I get here it will be. So that's the plan. We're going to heat it electrically, and we're not going to air condition it. The house has got big thick walls, and it's been nice and cool now you hear over the summer heat. What happened to the lampshades from the living room? They're in a box in one of the back rooms. They're made of glass. I don't know if we'll ever use them. Proper beer in the UK. I'm drinking German beer from a little village up in the Alps, which is excellent. It is better than Italian beer. Let's face it. The Germans make cars, and the Germans make beer, and they make good sausages too. The Italians make pretty much everything else very well, including weather and food and wonderful houses. What else have we got? Let's see, what are we going to do with the basements? That's an excellent question. Nothing for at least the next 5 or 6 years, not until everything else is done. We've got so much room. We'll certainly work something out. How far away do I park the bus? Well, I either park the bus up at the church in winter when there's no one around, and that's about 60 metres, I guess. Or in summer when everyone was around, I park it at the entrance to the village, so down behind me, and we walk through some of the tunnels to get there. so not complicated. It's a little bit breezy, it's blowing my bits of paper everywhere. Let's see if we have any more exciting questions. How long have you lived in Austria? What do I miss about the UK? Well, I left the UK a long time ago, but there are still one or two things I miss, and you're going to laugh at this because it's nothing exceptional, but I do miss Lucozade. Lucozade is the first thing when I arrive in the UK. Even at the airport, I run into WH Smith's and get myself a bottle of Lucozade because I love the stuff and you can't get it anywhere else in Europe. Baked beans and things like that you can pick up pretty much everywhere. But no, Lucozade, proper English bacon, and some of the crisps flavours, prawn cocktail crisps, you just can't get them abroad. So I guess those are the things I miss the most. I've got my brother and my dad who still live in London, so I'm not completely cut off. We've done that side. We've done that side. I think we're getting towards the end of the questions because a lot of them did come up again and again. What's the internet quality like there? Well, there is wired internet all through the village, but I've put a 4G LTE router in. I pay about €15 a month for 50 gigabytes of internet bandwidth, which is plenty considering we're not really here very often. I have about 70 megabits down speed and about 20 up speed. So it's not bad. I could get better internet here if I wanted better internet here. There's free internet up at the store in the village, and on the main square in front of the church. So internet is not a real problem here. They ran good internet up here because they put that 4G antenna in, so that works very well. I think we're on to the last page, pretty much. Let's see. Time off, how far away did you park the bus? Do any of us speak the language, or if we had any major mishaps? Well, no, I mentioned the language is something that we're learning. We haven't had any major mishaps so far, knock on wood. So it really has just been pleasure. We've been out for a couple of weeks now. We've been to the beach. We've been out a lot. It's a local village sort of yearly party and things. So that's been very nice. It's sort of been able to forget the virus a little bit because although since I think middle of last week, you do now have to wear masks outside as well as of 6 in the evening. The rest of the time you don't. And we're not really inside the bar. When you go for a drink, you sit outside. Up at the tennis club, it's outside. It comes back home to you as soon as you enter a store, and you have to put your mask on, disinfect your hands. But it all makes sense to me. I think we're slowly winning the battle against the virus, certainly in Italy and across most of Europe. Obviously, with the summer holidays, lots of people travelling, it's become a little bit more complicated, and there have been some hotspots. But I know that it's not so good in other parts of the world, and I hope it gets much better very, very soon. We've been very lucky, and I think that's something that's important to remember, is just how lucky we are. Some of you ask about a Patreon or sponsorship, or, well, honestly, I've said it before, if you want to sponsor something, then sponsor children who are hungry, sponsor animals who are mistreated, sponsor pretty much anything except a middle-class, middle-aged white guy who's bought a house in Italy, because there are many, many more important things. Having said that, thank you all very much for watching the ads, because Google are quite happy to send me a few euros a month, and those few euros a month are helping pay for my beers. That's about it. Thank you very much. I hope it wasn't too boring just listening to me waffle on again, but there'll be more me doing things videos coming very soon. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for listening, and thank you for asking your questions and commenting. See you soon. Take care. Goodbye.